Holy crap, we just got a massive trade. Ryan O'Reilly is officially a Toronto Maple Leaf. I am so excited. Now, I'm recording this video a little while after the trade actually took place, although I'll probably upload this video in the morning, but I apologize if I'm all over the place. I'm just, of course, really happy and can't wait to see O'Reilly in a Leafs uniform, but let's go ahead. Let's do an in-depth in what Toronto got, what St. Louis got, and also why Minnesota is included in this deal as well. But before we do get into all of that, if you guys are new to the channel and you like hockey content, please make sure to hit subscribe. I am going to be doing a live stream of the Montreal and the Leafs game later on tonight, so if you guys want to tune in for that and kind of talk about this trade, make sure to hit that bell notification so you're notified when I go live. Anyways, let's look at the full details of this trade. So, of course, the Leafs get Ryan O'Reilly, that is the big name, but they do also get Noel Acciari and Josh Pillar. The St. Louis Blues, they get Mikhail Abramov, Adam Gaudette, a 2023 first-round pick, a 2023 third-round pick that belongs to the Senators, and a 2024 second-round pick. Then Minnesota, they get a 2025 fourth-round pick. Now, the reason Minnesota is in this trade here is because they do retain 25% of O'Reilly's salary, and they were the ones who drafted Josh Pillar as well. With the St. Louis Blues, they'd retain 50% of O'Reilly's salary, meaning the Leafs only have to pay 25% of O'Reilly's salary for the rest of the season, which equates to $1.875 million against the cap, which is pretty cheap for Ryan O'Reilly. Now, to keep a little bit of a structure here, I'm going to go team by team to see kind of exactly what they got and give you guys my thoughts on it. So, of course, let's start off with the Leafs here. Let's talk about Josh Pillar because I don't have a ton to say about him because I don't really know too much about him. He's a 2021 fourth-round pick of the Minnesota Wild. He currently plays with the Saskatoon Blades. That's about it. That's all I really know. So, I feel like he's a little bit more of just a throw-in. Nothing really too special. Don't really see him becoming anything too much, at least with the Leafs here. And they also get Noel Acciari. Now, I haven't seen too many of his games with St. Louis, but I saw him play with the Bruins and with the Panthers, and he seemed to be a very hard-working third, fourth line kind of guy. He'll hit you, he'll fight you, which of course is something that a lot of people have said the Leafs need for a very, very long time. Now, the Leafs do have Wayne Simmons, but with Simmons, he's kind of fallen out of the league. I like Wayne Simmons, but, you know, most of the time when he's in the lineup, he doesn't do a lot of that rough stuff. And then when he does, he usually takes really bad penalties, to be honest. And he just really doesn't bring a lot of value to the Leafs. So I think Noel Acciari can kind of bring that aspect to the Leafs, but still be a hardworking fourth line kind of guy. And I don't think he's going to get you too many goals or too many assists or anything like that. But I do think he will be a good defensive player, especially if you pair him with David Kampf. Like, that could be a pretty good shutdown line of Noel Acciari, David Kampf, and let's say like Zach Aston Reese. That could be your fourth line. I think that is pretty good. But of course, the big attraction of this trade is Ryan O'Reilly. Now, he hasn't played fantastic this season. He's played 40 games, has 12 goals, 7 assists for 19 points, so that's not fantastic. And he is also coming off a broken foot as well. Now, he's played 3 games since coming back, and he has 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points in those 3 games, so that is fairly promising. And he was playing on the Blues as well, who have not really been that great this season. They've been very up and down, so I kind of wonder if he's having a bad season because the Blues are having a bad season, or if the Blues are having a bad season because he's having a bad season, right? Like, maybe it's a little bit of both, maybe it's a little bit of a mixture, but I do think he will bounce back with the Leafs. O'Reilly is known as one of the best two-way centers in the game, and over the past 4 seasons, he has been top 5 in Selke voting, so I really do think he'll bounce back. And also, at least from what I've seen, the analytics are pretty high on him, and they've been saying that he's been creating high danger chances with the Blues, just hasn't really been able to finish it. So when you play with a team like the Leafs, I do think he'll probably finish a little bit more. And he has that playoff resume as well, winning the Conn Smythe in 2019 when the Blues won the Stanley Cup. But even outside of that, in 64 playoff games, he has 22 goals, 34 assists for 56 points, almost a point per game. That is pretty good. And I've also seen a lot of Blues fans talk about Ryan O'Reilly in the playoffs and say he's just fantastic and he's a monster in them. So I'm very excited about that. Now, where do I see O'Reilly fitting into this lineup? I do think there is a few places you can put him, but the obvious choice is that number 3 center spot, which if you do that, then that means you have Matthews, Tavares, then O'Reilly, and David Kampf. And that top 3 there, the Matthews, Tavares, and O'Reilly, that is like one of the best center depths in the league. Those are basically 3 number 1 centers on a lot of teams, so that is insane center depth. Definitely is very hard to kind of contest against in the playoffs. You'll be able to easily run those 3 guys and not really have an issue at center there, so I do like that. But if they decide to shorten their bench, let's say they're losing a game late and they want to shorten their bench there, then that means you can run that Matthews, Tavares, and and Marner line, which they've done a lot in the past. But as a second line, that means you can have O'Reilly, Nylander, and like Bunting or Yarncroke. Like that is also a really good second line to run as well. So, whatever option you kind of put him at, I think it's very good. Even if you didn't want to use him at center for whatever reason, or maybe the more realistic case of moving Tavares over to the wing, then you have two really solid lines in the Bunting, Matthews, and Nylander, and then Tavares, O'Reilly, and Marner. Like that is insane. So there is a lot of combinations that they could use with O'Reilly being in the lineup, and I think they're all great. So I am ecstatic. I'm very, very happy to see them make this trade here. Now, do I think the Leafs are done? Probably not. They're pretty weak on the left-hand side, so I would really like to see them add another left winger, preferably a top 6 left winger, but I don't really think that's going to happen. I just don't think they have the cap room. Maybe they make it happen with some like cap magic, but I just don't really see it happening. Also, people have talked about them adding another defenseman. That I don't really mind. It's not like I'm against that idea, but that being said, I don't know if they particularly need it. They've done a really good job weathering the storm when their defense has been injured this season, so I think it's more about just adjusting the lineup down there and getting the right pair of guys. Like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to another defenseman, but I just don't really overly see it happening, but at the same time, I don't really know. Maybe Kyle Dubas makes another move before the trade deadline. I definitely could see that happening, but I don't think it's going to be another huge move. That is for sure. So I'm really excited to see what the Leafs do during this trade deadline, or, upcoming to the trade deadline here. But anyways, let's talk about the other teams in this deal, because there are other teams, of course. Let's start off with the Wild. I'll be pretty quick with them. So the Wild traded away Josh Pillar in exchange for a 2025 fourth round pick, and also taking on 25% over Riley's cap hit. Honestly, when I first saw this, I was pretty surprised because I thought Minnesota was fairly close to the cap, but I think that happens next season. It looks like they still have $10 million in cap space, so they're just weaponizing their cap space there. Although I'm still a little bit surprised, to be completely honest, because they are fighting for their playoff lives. They are sitting in that last wildcard spot, so I was a little bit surprised, but at the same time, if you have the cap space, you might as well use it. Then with the St. Louis Blues, they got Mikhail Abramov, who is a fourth round pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2019. He hasn't played a game with the Leafs, but with the Marlies, he's played 34 games this season and has 6 goals, 10 assists for 16 points. From what I've heard, he's been a decent prospect, but nothing really too crazy. I don't think he was going to play for the Leafs like next season or anything like that, so I don't think he'll bite the Leafs in the butt, but maybe he will. We'll have to see. They also got Adam Gaudette, who did sign with the Leafs this past offseason, but he never played a game with the Leafs. With the Marlies, he has 20 goals, 14 assists for 34 points in 40 games, so, once again, it is another player that wasn't really going to make the Leafs roster. And on top of that, the Blues also got those 3 picks as well. The Leafs 2023 first round pick, the Senators 2023 third round pick, and then the Leafs 2024 second round pick. So I do think the Blues did well in this deal, but overall, looking at this trade as a whole, who do I think won? I might be a little bit biased, but I do think the Leafs win this trade. Now, I don't think they fleeced anyone or anything like that, because they did pay a lot for what is basically 2 rentals. Ryan O'Reilly's deal is done at the end of the season, so is O'Reilly and Acciari, and they paid basically 4 picks, a prospect, and we'll say a bottom 6 guy in Adam Gaudette. So that is a lot for what is basically 2 rentals. The Leafs would love to re-sign Ryan O'Reilly, but you just don't have the cap space for him. It just won't work. With O'Reilly and Acciari, you might re-sign him, but, we'll kind of have to see. I'm basically saying that this is 2 rentals, so it is a ton to pay for 2 rentals, but if this works, obviously it's 100% worth it. But also at the same time, if they lose in the first round, it was obviously not worth it. So it really does depend on what the Leafs do in the playoffs here, if they win this deal or if they don't. But my thoughts right now is it makes the Leafs immediately better, so I love this deal in my current state. But let me know what you guys think about this trade in the comments down below. I would love to hear from Leaf fans, non-Leaf fans, Blues fans, everyone. I would love to hear what you guys think. And also, if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I'll be live later on this evening watching the Leafs take on the Canadiens, so if you want to stop on by, maybe talk about the trade a little bit, I'd love to see you guys there, so make sure to hit that bell notification so you're notified when I go live. Also, make sure to follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, and my TikTok. Links are all in the description down below. But like I said, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.